Okay, let's go back a bit. In September 1968, at the age of 7, Basquiat was hit by a car while playing in the street. His arm was broken and he suffered several internal injuries. While he was recuperating, his mother gave him a book, Gray's Anatomy, to keep him occupied. This book would obviously help him, um, would be a very big influence on his art later in life. His parents separated that year, and his sisters and him were raised by their father. Uh, the family resided in Boerum Hill, Brooklyn for 5 years and moved to San Juan, Puerto Rico. In 1974, for 2 years, they returned to New York City. When he was 13, his mother was committed to a mental institution and thereafter spent her life in and out of institutions. Obviously, had a very big effect on Basquiat. And due to his mother's instability and family's unrest, at the age of 15, Basquiat ran away from home, living in the streets, park benches in Thompson Square in New York, and was arrested eventually and returned to the care of his father in the course of a week. Around this time, and a lot because of this, he just didn't want to be in high school anymore, and he dropped out his sophomore year. At the age of 17, he left school, and then he joined a new school, an alternative school in New York called City S School, and it wasn't it was a place for misfits. It definitely was a place where a lot of kids who didn't feel normal could go to a normal high school. They went to this school, and it wasn't like a derelict kind of school. It was, you definitely, it was still credited. It was actually highly credited in a lot of ways for the world of art. It was kind of the art alternative school in New York City. And it was unconventional, which is perfect for him, especially at that age. Um, but because of this, his father banished him from the household for dropping out of high school. And Basquiat ended up staying with friends and supported himself by selling T-shirts and homemade postcards. And I like this because this actually comes into play. This kind of exact, kind of way to make money and kind of sell your art comes up a few times over various artists in the course of the history of street art and pop art. Um, so Basquiat's transition from being homeless and unemployed and becoming a prosperous artist took place in a very short time. By 1980, he was selling paintings for up to $25,000. By 1976, okay, so let me start with this. So when he was in school, Basquiat met his friend at the City S School. Basquiat met his friend, this guy named Al Diaz, and Al Diaz um, was just another kid at school who wanted to make art, and they had a connection, and they were the ones who started SAMO, SAMO. And I think it came from them smoking pot. They were smoking a joint, and they used to laugh how this is the same old shit, and that was what they would say. And then they shortened it to same old. So SAMO became kind of a shorthand for that, and it also became a way to talk about what they were seeing around them, like the same bullshit all everywhere. The way billboards and advertising and just like kind of the way just just politics, everything that was going on in the world was the same old shit, and they were trying to have a conversation about that and talk about that. So SAMO came from that. And it was a lot of messages, kind of abstract, like I was saying, kind of like abstract poetry, but they were still kind of thought provoking. They were kind of like song lyrics to a song you've never heard of. It's kind of how I like to look at it. Here's some of that work, and we'll go on from there.